All right, our next surf report is going to be about as tumultuous as the previous few weeks, but things are going to be shifting quite a bit, quite drastically to another kind of energy. But this week, from leap year day 2024, which is February 29th, on a leap year, to March 6th. It's a mental storm, and we have some Aquarian shocking reveals coming this week if you haven't had enough already. Oh yes, there's quite a bit more. And this week we'll house a lot of confusing nonsensicalness and some shocking reveals. And so, there's a lot of astrology. So just to give you a very brief synopsis, a lot happening in Pisces still, a lot with Mercury in detriment and in the midst of a continuous mental storm. Eventually going to hit Neptune. This is in Energy Shift, the episode Energy Shift number 3. We talk about this whole period of time and what to do about that. So go look at that for more details. But we also have the Aquarian Venus and Mars together, which really sparks a lot of passion in Aquarius matters. And then that's squared off to Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. So a lot of tension. Yeah, I know, shocker. But this is shifting out. So if you're looking at the energy shift reports, which are new episodes that I'm doing, we're looking further out and looking at periods of time to where you can get an archetypical kind of picture of what's happening in that future time period. And it might be a day, but these energy windows are all combined together so you can get an idea for how long it lasts. The latest one I'm working on is going to be, I think, about 13 days, and that covers the first eclipse in the eclipse season. So be looking for that. Anyway, all right. Boy, did I get off track. All right. I-Ching hexagram 9 for this week. Small influences. That is a perfect match to the waning moon, the last quarter moon. And I got to say, normally these things kind of work together, but not this week. The moon is on a dwindling kind of energy. Meanwhile, we have motivating energy everywhere else. And the Dreambot, we have shocking reveals, very Aquarian, and we have time, very Saturnian. So that speaks more to Pisces because that's where Saturn is right now, but a high congruency score. So let's go. All right, I have some really interesting news for you guys. Our best comment award, we actually had a tie, but it's much more than that. It's between the Thoth Mark, depending on how you pronounce Thoth, and Fireside Witch. Congratulations to both of you, 9 ups. But get this, it's more than just tied for first. These two together, when you combine these two comments, you actually get the main gist of this surf week. So they're a week ahead, and I know that's kind of common for me and Angie, but also some of you surfers out there that tend to feel the energies a little bit early. And these two apparently did. So Team Humanity, I am willing to die on this hill. That is a very surf statement for this coming week. And then Fireside Witch says it's been a shit show with the clowns and I am truly tired. I hear you. And with the shocking reveals and the nonsensicalness, you're going to see Fireside's comment to an extreme. All right, let's get started on the Dreambot. Again, new technology. I've even got a new little keyboard for these surf reports. And I'm doing with my left hand with Mercury in detriment and in a mental storm. So let's see how many times I have to do this report. We have 2023 at the very top of the Dreambot. What in the heck, people? I don't have any answers. if anything, 2024 should already be stale by now. So why is 2023 rising in the Dreambot? Makes no sense. GMT, there's a very globalness to this run. We have the word global, we have GMT. These are global words. And meanwhile, we have unaware feelings, shocked, global, apologize, hidden. So things are revealed and it's going to be shocking. This is just goes right along with the Aquarian, Mars, and Venus. All right. All right. Doing good so far. No mistakes that I know of. You are here on this eclipse cycle. This eclipse was based on the solar eclipse from Libra. So Libra ruled this cycle. Next will be April 8th coming up, and that'll be a total solar eclipse that most of you have heard about over North America, and that's going to be in Aries. So Aries will rule that cycle. But for now, we're wedged in between a full moon in Virgo. That's already happened, and it was wonderful, and it was beautiful. And we are next going to see the new moon in Pisces on March 10th, but that's next CIRF report. So we're wedged in between here, and we have some significant energy to talk about. The shocking reveals plus the mental storm continues, and this is going to transition. Mercury is going to transition more into Neptune, so just like fantasy illusion, in a detriment state, a weakened mental state, so things look crazy and still irrational and all that. Welcome to March. In March, we have, let's see, going from top down. Later on in the month, you have Mars going into Pisces. You have Mercury, who's going to stay direct all the way until about April 1st and then start a retrograde. Venus is going to transition into Pisces in the next CIRF report. We have Venus square Uranus. Most of these reds are conjunctions. So bigger picture, we have a new moon in Pisces on 3/10, like I talked about before. And then we have the lunar eclipse in Libra. That's going to be on the full moon in Libra, which I just said. All right. So there's your overview for March. A lot of big energies, and, big does not denote this kind of big. It's gonna shift. So if you haven't seen those energy shift reports, I highly recommend that you go seek those down. We're trying to get further and further into the future so that you can put onto your calendar the archetype of that energy window. That's the idea. I got a lot more to say about that, but let's talk about this week. We'll start with Thursday, the 29th. This is Leap Day, the extra day of 2024. The mental storm that we talked about last time continues. Mercury in detriment, combust with the sun and still conjunct with Saturn. So a lot of limitations. Fortunately, at least in the first part of this week, we have this little hidden sextile over to Jupiter. So in addition to the mental storm, we have like a mist of positivity from Jupiter. There's an opportunity in this sextile, and with Jupiter's influence, metaphors take a turn towards glimpses of hope amidst this mental storm. So imagine like a lighthouse out in the distance on that stormy sea in the Sea of Pisces, and it's tumultuous and looks very ominous, but there's this hazy little light that you can see focused in there that's sort of guiding you. And that's what this energy is for the sextile to Jupiter. So the positive opportunities here is learning from unusual experiences, possibly gaining a broader perspective, developing optimistic viewpoints in the mental storm, and tolerating uncertainty or tolerating ambiguity. So a lot of cool things there with the added sextile to Jupiter. Then I'd like to point you to the fixed water, and this is our backdrop signature of the overall zodiac. Current states, Thursday the 29th, it's fixed. So people got their heels dug in. Now, this is considered, because the sun is in Pisces and other planets are in Pisces, it's considered Pisces season, but people aren't feeling all that adaptable right now for multiple reasons. And one of them is this signature back here. Others are the Venus-Mars collision, lightning, but squared over to Uranus, ruler Aquarian, ruler Uranus. And then some squares on the moon transiting and getting close to, we'll be going through a last quarter moon. I'd also like to point you to these inconjuncts down here. Maybe hard to see, but we have Venus in conjunct Uranus and we have Mars in conjunct Uranus. And what that means is they're on opposite ends of the inclination, and that means that it's extra conflicted. So not only do we have a square with Aquarian ruler, we also have the inconjunct. So it's extra conflicted, extra pressure. And that doesn't bode well for the lunar cycle, as I'll describe here a little bit later when we get to the last quarter moon. All right, Friday the 1st. Where do we begin? Jupiter and Uranus starting a conjunction. And so this points to a yearning for positive change. Put those things together, expansive insights, expansive change, inventions, really positive inventions in the 3D reality. You got that on the one side. I already talked about the inconjunct and the square. On the other side, we have humanitarians coming together, so passions and sparks of passions with humanitarian Aquarius. And so these sound like good things, but with the square, it's really going to bring some urgency, some pressure to it, a lot of tension. And then if you combine the weirdness of Mercury, who's about ready to leave a combust in Saturn and then just go right into Neptune, still a lot of weirdness there. This overall picture won't look all that sensical. It'll look very irrational and it'll be very confusing for a lot of us. All week, the rebels protest. So these rebels up here, because they're in Aquarius and the sparks are there and the conjunction is there, so there's a lot of passion. They are protesting the immovable because they're wanting change, significant pressure to manifest expansive change at a collective level. So here's the archetype. I got this dude. Oh man, having a hard time expanding it. There we go. And the edit doesn't want to go up. So he's out there on the Arctic front, and we're basically activists planting defiant banners upon glacial cliffs. This is just an example. Battling not opponents. So there's nobody out there that he's protesting to, just protesting the slow melt of what has always defined the landscapes. You got a rebel amidst the immovable, basically. And Mars campaign for change collide with immovable ice is the picture that we have here. I do want to point out the Sun and Mercury are now parallel, but it's too late for a cazimi. So they are in the same inclination, but they're still combust. Their azimuth is too far apart for a cazimi. So we missed it this time around. Saturday on the 2nd of March, we have a lot less fixed energy in our backdrop signature, and we have the moon is approaching the last quarter. And how is this going to affect our solution if we have a lunar cycle that is winding down, but yet the energy is very motivating, intense, and wacky? And it's even more tense now. Okay, so we have two key times here on Sunday the 3rd. At 7:17 a.m., we have Venus and Uranus in a perfected 90-degree square. Okay, so this is the climax of Venus and Uranus, and here's the picture, no pun intended, but its focus is more on Venus things. So we're protesting still because it's Venus and Mars together, but it's focused in on affecting change and against the unmovable, nonsensical, as you can see here. But it's focused on Venus arts, creativity, looking beautiful, harmony, peace. You know, you had the guy lighting himself on fire for what? Well, apparently peace. There's more specific than that. I don't want to reiterate that, but that's the energy, you know. So it's only going to get stronger. And then the other time that I didn't mention was the moon, last quarter moon in Sagittarius at 9:23 a.m. on Sunday the 3rd. So in the morning, moon is squared. That brings up some tension, but it's a tension to reconsider movement and get going. It's more of the opposite. It's a slow down. It's a shift. It's a tension-based energetic shift to get you to relax, to see the hardness if you try to get stuff done. Monday, the 4th, we have Neptune and Mercury beginning its conjunction. And this is more like the whispers on the tide. So Mercury is in the sea mists of Neptune and Pisces. Thoughts are drifting like sea foam on currents beyond visual acuity. One metaphor likens this to musings of message in a bottle. Gosh dang, this app won't let me bring it up. So there's your picture, message in a bottle. I'm sure you already had that in your mind. All right, I'm just going to have to delete that picture because it's not working. And thoughts might be mingling with facts. Ideas come in flashes and dreams. I've been having these insights in the hypnagogia state, like I mentioned over on Telegram. And if you're interested in a Telegram, it's the link below in the show notes. You're welcome to subscribe for free. And there we can communicate together. Communications with veiled meanings. That's what this Mercury in Neptune and mystical psychic expressions, etc. Tuesday the 5th, we have an interesting phenomenon in Pisces. We have Neptune, Mercury, Sun, and Saturn in a relatively equal distance from each other, angular distance, so right around 5 to 6 degrees. So it becomes like a Pisces comb, with four teeth on it, and we're smoothing out the threads of life with this Pisces energy. And it's going to be actually quite a moderating, or I won't say dumbing down, but a dulling, if you will, more of being able to feel the energies of these protests instead of necessarily getting out and behaving in that manner. You might sense it or feel it more than see it. Still strong pressure on that square, the pushback trying to affect positive change. So protests will continue. And then we have the moon. It's a waning crescent moon. It reaches Capricorn. And so since we're past the last quarter, right now is about introspection and doing less. But Capricorn wants to go up and achieve. So what we can find and overlap in with Capricorn is the ability to find the vista, find a break find a cliff and just hang out and observe and have a rest. Okay, and then on Wednesday, now we're going to get into this in the next CIRF report, but Mars and Uranus are getting perfected against each other and still contra-parallel. And so these images become more prominent. It's the Mars warrior against the rebel. So we've got, images like that. Protests reach all new highs, and that's going to extend into the following week because of Mars square Uranus, unfortunately. But then the energy shifts out of that. After that's complete, just give you a little bit of little future talk. It's going to start lightening up. I don't mean that in lightning. I mean in lightness and non-tension. The squares sort of dwindle out. We got sextiles, some trines, and it's gonna be a lot smoother energy. All right, here's the I-Ching, hexagram 9. Small influences, softer influences predominate as the power of the smaller forces accumulates. This absolutely speaks to the waning moon, the last quarter moon. But the ebb and flow of events are like waves in the sea. And there are periods of low tide, and that matches the drama unfolding in Pisces. Low tide of maybe thought. Not a lot of rational experiences there. It's all felt. At present, more sweeping actions are impossible or inappropriate, but small matters ultimately lead to bigger and better things when attended to with success. Things that you might feel this week, according to the I-Ching, might feel humbled or a sense of humility, just the difficulty in progress, determination to keep going despite challenges. That's a very moon in Capricorn, so that's more of the later part of the week. Striving for equilibrium and harmony, and finding contentment, especially for those of you who can get out of your head and experience the deep inner peace with Pisces. All right, let's go to summarize the influence. You got the picture here, so you got the confusing nonsensicalness, and you also have the shocking reveals, and you also have the protests. And I didn't talk a lot about the shocking reveals, but it's very Aquarian. Massive alignments. Let's see, the truth is stranger than fiction. Massive alignments continue to dominate the energy spectrum this week despite a waning slowdown in the lunar cycle. In Pisces, the mental storm continues and even adds Neptune's illusions and idealism. The week simply will not look or feel rational whatsoever. Meanwhile, sparks in Aquarius feel tremendous pressure to push towards hopeful and optimistic change in the material world. Expect protest energy to climb to new levels this week and the following week, especially with the cognitive challenges and more Aquarian reveals underway. Watch out for the normies who might be in shock based on some of these reveals. All right, let's continue and shift over to the solution. We didn't have any change lines, so we stay on hexagram 9 and we look for behaviors. Suggested behaviors involve using your intuition to chart your long-term course, but avoid bold actions. Avoiding bold actions is commensurate with a waning crescent moon. They are unlikely to work if you do bold actions. This is a better time to refine existing abilities or develop new talents. Also, gentleness is the key word here regarding whatsoever is on your mind right now. Gentleness combined with determination is likely to generate more progress than brute force ever could. So some brief suggestions would be embrace your humility, Focus on the details, practice patience and persistence, exercise self-restraint. You can imagine all that pressure from the squares and the contraparallels. We're going to have some restraint here. Celebrate small victories is something else you can consider doing. And I forgot to tune us back. All right, so what I chose because of hexagram 9, small influences, that's a perfect match to the last quarter moon. So I plot the last quarter in our conversion chart. We get hexagram 5 of the Rave mandala, and we get Sidereal Scorpio. So there's our triangulation. We're going to start with hexagram 5 of the Rave. We have fundamental attunement to natural rhythms waiting as an active state of awareness. Now, here's what's interesting. The Rave has compulsiveness, which is also a direct overlap of the Scorpio, Sidereal Scorpio that we had. The Rave says the fear engendered by the sense of helplessness resulting in unnecessary stress and activity. That's what you can expect, especially at the time of the last quarter moon. And compulsiveness can be limited in its negative effect through flights of imagination. Though still stressful, they do not lead to action, a surrender to the limitations of a fixed rhythm through the empowerment of the imagination. Now, unfortunately, as you're going through the imagination, this is a perfect overlap with Mercury and Neptune going into conjunction or starting there. And so let's figure out our triangulation. Zoom in, and here's what we have. We have small influences by I-Ching 9. And I've got this guy skiing in fresh new powder, which really does slow you down, coming from experience. And then you have the compulsiveness line from the Rave mandala. You have Sidereal Scorpio and the last quarter moon. So here we go. Yet again, a very tight overlap in the solution suggestions. If there's one simple truth to take away from this triangulation, it would be this: slow way down. Now, even the I-Ching, small influences, obviously is the title there, but the picture here is, it's not a packed snow in this scenario, in this picture. And almost starting to regret having used this picture to begin with, but it's because it's low risk. It slows you down. If you fall, it's powdery and soft, and you can take your time. You can almost have to take your time. Sometimes it's hard. You have to use a lot of effort just to get through the fresh new snow. But anyway, it's slow down. In fact, the Rave challenges us to fully disengage from the imagination through pure observation in order to temper and prevent compulsiveness, arguably one of the biggest challenges to the Scorpio archetype. But yet, compulsiveness is one of the best signs that a Scorpio has mastered their energies in this life. What I mean by that is, one of the challenges is just, oops, I got compulsive and I only know this in hindsight. Well, when the Scorpio can be one with their compulsions and yet not do the activity, so it demonstrates self-constraint there when it's time to restrain. But when they can do that, it demonstrates that they are using that skill much better and have overcome it or have gotten in control of it. So when compulsiveness has been dampened through premium mindfulness, now all that is left is to choose to slow down behaviorally, take less chances, be more patient, do less, and then button up any outstanding lunar goals and celebrate small victories. So as an example, got it is the Aquarian lunar cycle, and we've already passed the full moon. That was the time of really more celebrating your Aquarian goals are completed, but there's still time up to the last quarter moon. And the example is I still have some challenges with some of the accessories around here. It's not many, and it's not that significant, but still a few things to get done in the new studio. So I will do those, and I will celebrate any small victories and then just slow down. Now we have the rave. Now I have the Gebu still as one of my runes, and that's for the Libra eclipse cycle. And then the other one I'm picking Perthro, and this is because I want the hidden knowledge to continue. I've been getting some downloads from Mercury, I think, and in its detrimented state. And so really have to relax the body and mind. And I think the advantage of this energy is that you get a lot of insights, a lot of things that may not make sense, but creativity flows over, and you have the potential of really making a lot of spiritual uncoverings or revelations. You get into the mysteries of it all, and you can get some fantastic insights. So I want to have that continue with Perthro. And the statement I plan to use is clarity and hidden wisdom comes to me when I relax my body and mind. All right, how did we do today? Did you guys get enough advice on how to navigate and surf this week? I hope so, everybody. And I wish you well. I wish you warm energy and love as the world goes crazy, confusing nonsensicalness, and some more shocking reveals. Let's do this. Rock on. Namaste.